Right, so this is now the third of these engines I've started to take apart, and one of the things that I found a bit of a challenge on the last ones, well the first one, was to remove this clutch retaining nut, and the first one had been badly corroded in the bottom where it had been sat in water for so long. So I ended up cutting that one off, but the second one was in slightly better condition, so I made up this tool, just turned up a little screw which goes into these threads here, and this being the clutch adjustment. Basically you screw that in, takes up any slack on the clutch actuating rod, which passes right through the drive shaft, through the gearbox. Your clutch arm here acts on that rod, comes right through the shaft and forces this end of the clutch away, giving clearance between the clutch plates inside. And anyway, that's just the adjusting screw there. So what I've done is made up that two little dowels, engage upon the holes in the nut, and then with this little screw you just tighten it onto the nut so it's not wibbly wobbling all over the shop. And they're nice and tight. What with the engine being seized, we've got some resistance, well, complete resistance upon the outer drum and the sprocket, so that's not a problem. I'll also put that screwdriver handle down the back there, which is the output sprocket. So if the clutch slips, then we still should have a positive drive onto this nut. Try and position myself in a decent way to hold the engine, and it's tight. Oh, but it moves. Thank goodness. Oh, there she goes. The clutch did try slipping then as well. There we go. We can have a look at the clutch now. On the first one, the engine that was actually in the car, all of the plates in there were entirely of friction material. The second engine I pulled apart were steel plates with the friction material bonded onto them, which is a much better job because the first one, which is entirely of friction material, these little lugs, a good percentage of them had broken away, and the same is true on this clutch. There's one clutch plate, there's another, and that's interesting because this one is, I don't know if you can see, I'm not a cameraman I'm afraid, but that one is a steel plate with the friction material, yet I can see clearly behind there's some that are of the other sort I mentioned, which are in their entirety composed of the friction material, and there is one, and you can see that one's missing a lug. In fact, that one doesn't look like there was ever a lug on there. first one I took apart, there had definitely been lugs broken off, and you can plainly see that. There we go. There you go. Last one out. Yeah, you can see there, that is where the lugs were, and in fact that one's completely split open. And get this last plate out, and behind that we should find this clutch. That plate's ridden right over the back of the splines where it shouldn't be. Perhaps take it off as well. Again, this nut in here is the spring retainer, holds the clutch springs in, and we can use this tool again to remove that. Hopefully remove that. Anyway, I've got a decent nut now. Far better, you can see it's had the chisel driven into it there. But yeah, this one, that one's a lot better than the other two I've got. So there's another component to be used upon the car when time comes for a rebuild of the engine. This engine, interestingly, had succumbed to the fate of many a infinite carriage engine, and it was then installed into a go-kart. The chap that, yeah, I was trying to remove the back plate. Stupid boy. There we go. There's your clutch springs. And there's one of the three rods that travel from the clutch arm through the drive shaft. Right, and the next, oh, yeah, we've got rollers falling out now. What was there? 24 rollers I counted in the last one. Yeah, the roller bearings up behind there. Let all them fall out. And we might, oh, there goes one. And we might be able to remove that outer clutch bell. They all look in quite good condition, but I suspect I'm going to replace them all anyway. I mean, if they didn't cost too much, what's the point in putting worn parts in? Chains also, probably the first one was a write-off. It sat in up to halfway mark in the primary chain casing in water, and it had corroded away to the extent that as soon as I tried undoing that nut that you just saw me undo, this one, the chain just snapped. Anyhow, yeah, this clutch drum looks alright. Sprocket, it's got somewhere. You might compare it to the other. and see which is the better one. Looks like it's had a bit of chattering where the lugs drive onto it. I'm certain that the other one hasn't suffered with that. Anyway, that's that for now. I shall turn the camera off and get on with the next stage. Removing this cover, well, that sprocket first, which seems remarkably loose. Very loose. Didn't like that much to it. I suspect that crankshaft's a bit chattered then. Anyhow, it is what it is. We'll keep stripping parts down and come up with the best ones, the best components to make our engine. Oh, one other thing I've already noted on this engine is that the fan's got all of its vanes, and also still even got the felt backing. First one I had missing 2 vanes. The second engine, all the vanes were there, but there's a fair amount of corrosion, so it looks like this fan will be the one in use. And also this cover here, one of them was entirely lacking its mesh screen, and the second one, the mesh screen's folded double and missing a couple of its fixings, so it looks like this cover might be the one that goes into use. So, another component to go to the final build.